Hey, this is Riz. Thank you for joining Greasy Keys and I on Local Music Somewhere. Today, we got the Digital Drip and the Jazz Man bringing full show of music and vibe fuel. Now, this guest represents not just a blend of jazz, but how to bring a true grind of the biz. He toured with Prince, then built his own empire. You think you've seen hustle? Try going from Prince's stage to building your own festival, coffee brand, and comic universe. Now, two-time Grammy nominee Marcus Anderson isn't just playing music. He's redefining what artistry means in 2025. From performing for presidents to launching jazz and coffee, this is a story about creativity, courage, and the grind behind greatness. Now, Marcus will be performing at the Middle C Jazz Club on October 25th. This will be a night to remember. Get your tickets today at middlecjazz.com. Don't forget, the vibe starts here on hashtag local music somewhere, only on ourbeats.com. Take it away, Greasy.
All right, thanks, Riz. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Marcus Anderson. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to me today, Marcus.
No, thanks for having me. It's great. It's
We're
great.
thrilled.
Yeah.
We're thrilled to have you on and talk about your music and hopefully give folks a little bit of your background and help promote your
Yeah.
big show coming up here at the incredible Middle C Jazz Club here in Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm excited. This is gonna be really cool. Uh I come there, to the area at least once a year, and
Yeah.
Middle C is usually home for me when I'm visiting Charlotte. Yeah.
Such a great room. And
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to perform there myself. I'm a keyboardist here in Charlotte,
Hmm.
and it's always just jam packed. The audiences are always real
Yeah.
receptive, and just it's a great room all the way around. So
Hmm.
I see that you originally from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. It's my
That's amazing.
hometown. Yeah, I went to Dorman High School.
Yeah.
That was my high school, and then how I got to North Carolina and making it my home was I got a scholarship to North Carolina Central University, and that was back in 2003. And when I finished up at NCCU, I just never left the area. I
Right.
loved I love North Carolina so much, and
Yeah.
I love the Carolinas. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can just make this my home. So yeah, I just went
I
on ahead and
love it.
stayed in the RDU area. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm from that Greenville Spartanburg area as well. So it's
Yeah.
always a thrill to see folks really kind of come up from that area and do well and just represent. So that's amazing. I saw
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your history. Growing up, you were raised in a musical family.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of seven.
Wow.
So I feel like I got the sap at the bottom because like everybody in my family, that's the best way I can explain it. If you think about a tree and you think
Yeah.
about like the last person who was at the bottom, like it grabs all the stuff and the content that drips all the
Right.
way down. So from my oldest, sibling to me, I feel like I got everything that they experienced in life,
Right.
and I feel like I got the best of it, in a
Yeah.
sense, because the business acumen from my dad, and like the entrepreneurship from my dad and my mom, and the drive that started, and then it trickled down to my sisters, and then my brothers, and then like me, and all that. Just I just feel like it just collected with me. So that's kind of where everything started. So it wasn't really just music, but I do have a very
Right.
musical family. I
Right.
got a twin brother that sings. I have an older brother that runs pretty much an online, mentoring business, learning, e-training, everything, in the
Amazing.
gospel world. Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister, I had a sister. She has a dance group, and Dance Alliance, maybe so much.
Yeah.
She does award-winning shows and events. And then I have another sister that does she does teaching. She's in education, so she teaches elementary school and middle school, I believe. And
Wow.
then there's my oldest sister. She's a minister, and then I had a brother who passed, a few years back, but he was
Right.
definitely into music, and he was
Yeah.
like a guidance counselor and a track coach. Yeah, at Gaffney High
Wow.
School.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, but the family across the board, everybody does something musical. Outside of me, it's just my brother Marcel's actually been touring with me, with probably with the Dave Cox Summer Horns like the past year, and with me prior
Fantastic.
to that for about probably like 10 years. So I bring him in
Yeah.
shows and out of shows, and he does a lot of stuff on his own too. And he has his
Yeah.
own mentoring program. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
is most of your family still located in the Carolinas as well, or
Yes. Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty much.
fantastic.
Yeah. My family is still living, in the Carolinas. I mean, the Carolinas is home. You can't beat it.
I dig it. I'm the same way. That's amazing. So, what first drew you to the saxophone, particularly, and how old were you when you realized that that was your instrument?
I It was shiny at first, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
But I will say my dad nudged me in the direction of that, and he told me, he probably doesn't really remember a lot of it, but he told me like you're gonna play the saxophone, you're gonna be great, and you're gonna travel the world.
yeah.
And I didn't
Wow.
find out until I was older that my dad wanted to play the saxophone. So I was like, you never told me that. Like it wasn't until like maybe a year or two ago that I found this out. So I'm like, that was
Wow.
kind of important for me to know. But which is what kind of explains why he pushed me so hard to be, you know, I don't want to say he pushed me hard, but he nudged me in a
Right.
direction. I just kind of took it and ran with it. But he put the
Yeah.
saxophone in my hand and used to make me sit at the foot of the bed and listen to smooth jazz, and on the Weather Channel. And like back
Yeah.
then it was annoying, but now like I missed, having cable in the Weather Channel and
Uh,
listening to that.
right. There you
That was
go.
gold back then. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's true. That is so amazing. So, but how did studying at the NC Central University shape your sound and your professional mindset then, once you kind of got into there?
Oh man. Yeah. I didn't really know what I was walking into. I was kind of terrified going
Yeah.
into college because my background in music had always been R&B, church, and like smooth jazz. That was all I knew.
Right.
So going to an NCCU, which is an HBCU,
Yes.
we studied traditional jazz and straight ahead, which was not my background. But I started listening to a lot of it going into it. I just grabbed whatever I could, whatever albums. I'm like, all right. I remember listening to like a Donald Harrison album,
Yeah.
Noble Swing, that was like one, and I listened to like Maceo Parker. I'm like, okay, he's got some other stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember
Oh
listening to like
yeah.
Stanley Turrentine and like just songs, and I still have them in my head. And I forgot the song, but it's like da da bo da 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 bo ba 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 bee dum da da. I remember NCCU had recorded an album, and that was one of the songs they
Wow.
played. And I listened as much as I could going into it. I got theory and learned theory in like a month, as much as I could going into it. My reading wasn't that great, but I think my ear is what got me into the school.
Right. Yeah.
So when I got there, I was as prepared as I could be, but I barely knew how to read music, to be honest. I kind of faked it all through school. I was the Nick Cannon on the saxophone. If
Yeah.
you've seen that movie Drumline,
Yeah.
that was me going into it. And but Dr. Wiggins, he saw potential in me. Dr. Wiggins was the professor
Yeah.
at the time at NCCU, and I mean, he really worked with me to like learn my skills. Like he took a semester and like took all this theory and jam packed it in a semester. By the end of the semester, I knew all my major, my minor, my natural minor, my harmonic minor, my diminished, my mixolydian, like all of that, and my arpeggios. And like we went to scales. All right, now yeah, here's the scale degrees. Like he whipped me into shape in one semester
Wow.
that by the next semester, I auditioned for this thing they call IAJE,
Mhm.
International Jazz Educators. I'm not sure if it's still around, but I got first year, within that. So, and I got it for 3 years in a row. I was number one in the nation for like 3 years from that. So
Wow.
after and during that time, I got to study with Brian Horton, God rest his soul. And then I got to study with Branford Marcellus for about 2 years. But then in the environment of NCCU and being around those students and people that kind of helped me and nudged me into the direction of like learning straight ahead and like traditional jazz and mixing it with the style that I have now and had then. I think I'm very grateful and thankful for that, even though it was something that was kind of frowned upon and people shied away from back
Really?
then. I just knew. Well, yeah, like there's always this big debate of like, is contemporary jazz considered real jazz? Like, is it considered something that we should even like support and entertain? And I say, yeah, I even got teased about it, in school. But then those same
Wow.
people, I ended up, yeah, those same people that teased me, I ended up hiring, for stuff like that. All right, you tease me, now I'm gonna give you a job. I mean, like when they go low, you go
That's
higher,
big of you.
and that's So,
Yeah.
but I knew that I had to prove them wrong. I had to show them like there's a way to do this. Always a way to do both. There's always a way to find a compromise and meet in the middle. And I knew
Right.
I would be the bridge, and I always try to be that bridge in anything that we do and discuss, whether it's career, whether it's politics, whether it's music, business. It doesn't matter. There's always a way to bridge it and find a common ground.
Yes.
And I feel like that kind of keeps you grounded, being able to see both sides. People call it straddling the fence, but it's like I like to be able to see perspectives. It's too many people that are far left and far right. So same
Right.
thing with music. You got to stand on the line. In my opinion, you got to stand on the line and understand both parts. You can pick a side, and maybe I have with contemporary jazz, but I like going to jam sessions. I still,
Yeah.
play straight ahead.
Yeah.
But when I was at NCCU, it gave me a lot of, I don't want to say tricks. It gave me a lot of tools. It gave me a lot of
Tools.
tools to be
Yeah.
able to navigate. Yeah, because when I was studying with Dr. Wiggins, he said, I just want you to be able to be equipped. I want you to have options. And he did. He gave me options. I want you to be able to go and write a chart out if you need to. I want you to be able to go and play it and not be pigeonholed. If someone says, hey, read this. If someone says, hey, play this. I've been able to accept a lot of gigs on saxophone and flute and just, push my career. And same thing with Branford. Branford, we had a few lessons. He taught me, like a certain way of practicing. And he taught me stuff about career that I thought, was one way. He said, no, that doesn't really help you. You need to have this, you gotta have that, you gotta have that, you gotta have that, you gotta have that, you gotta have one big pile. So when you present it to them, you make
Right.
it undeniable for them to say no, and you can write your own ticket. So that's kind of what I've been doing, through the years, and a lot of that I wouldn't have learned if I hadn't gone to NCCU.
Fantastic. Wow, and
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, and straddling, straddling fence or say that middle line, and that way you have
Hmm.
the perception of both sides, and like I said, you
Hmm.
could choose your own path and make
Yeah.
make good choices. That is
Yeah.
that is
Absolutely.
awesome, awesome
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but let me ask you this: if you weren't a musician, what would you be doing right now?
Probably golf. I mean, I love golf. I mean, and every musician talks about, golf. I tease a lot of my friends. I talk a lot of trash in golf, and like,
Oh,
I
nice.
think I'm like the Tiger Woods of like saxophone player, golf players. Mike Phillips, he's decent. He thinks he can play golf, but we'll see if he comes back around and wants to play me again. He played me and beat me a while back. And I'm like, I'm challenging Michael right now
There
on
it is,
live. I'm just like, hey,
throwing the gauntlet
someone
down. Let's
screen
go.
record it and send it to him. Yeah, Mike, I'm calling you out.
You got it.
Let's get on the golf course. But no, no, I love golf. Golf is amazing. Golf is I don't know, something about it is very therapeutic. So I'll probably be a golfer. If
Right.
not, I'd probably do something in like in the environment. Maybe like crocodile hunter because I love I love nature. I really do. I
Find you
love nature. I
outside,
love the
right?
trees. Yeah, I love nature. I love the trees. I love wilderness. I love woodsy stuff. That's just kind of me. I'm a down south country boy. That's what I know. That's what I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my house in South Carolina, sits on 4 acres of land, and it's just it's great. I mean, it's great to go home and to go into the woods and do all this stuff, man. It's just I love it.
Yes.
Then
Uh,
probably, in addition to that, I probably would do something in like business, heavy business. So like I love business.
yeah. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
speaking of business, would you like to talk a little bit about your coffee business? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So I started a coffee business back in 2015. So we're celebrating 10 years now. And what
Congratulations. Wow.
no, thank you. Yeah, we're 10 years, celebrating 10 years this month in October. We're gonna, do a big announcement, roll out some stuff. In the beginning of November, just been having a crazy season, and we want to do the rollout proper. So we're celebrating, 10 years of the coffee business, and coffee is thriving and thriving so much. And that's the name of the brand, and Coffee, A&D. It's based off the first three letters of my last name. I
Love
was
it.
trying to figure out, what's a product that I could put out that people would buy, but I didn't really want to do like wine. I didn't want to do like like a tequila or a
Right.
whiskey. There was so much stuff. I'm like, what's something that's kind of like easy that I could enjoy? Because I was drinking coffee, and I thought about what would be a good name for this. And I was thinking, man, it could be like jazz and this. I'm like, I don't want to tag music and this, and like, and just kept pounding like in me in the head. And I was like, oh, it's and I woke up and I was like, and coffee, A&D. That's just it. And coffee. Because you can pair
Yeah.
it with anything.
Mhm.
So that's kind of
Brilliant.
that's kind of how it came into play. Yeah. And I started drinking coffee when I was touring with Prince. And, we did a lot of hours, rehearsing, and I was drinking not Red Bull, I was drinking Mountain Dew Power Dew, Mountain Dew Power Amp. That was my drink. I loved it. I was drinking like two in a day, which is very bad for you. So
Right.
got fussed out by Shelby Johnson about, yeah, baby
Shelby,
boy, baby
yes.
boy, baby bro. She said stop drinking that. So we're going to the coffee shop. I was like, I don't really like coffee, and then that was it. Like I went there, got a caramel latte, and it's still my favorite coffee drink till today.
Love it.
And I've been drinking coffee ever since then. 3 years later, I started my very own jazz festival, and then we launched it 2019. So yeah, 2019, and then we started it. It was in Asheville, the first few years of it, which was amazing, an incredible venue downtown. We brought it to Durham, and I partnered with my alma mater, North Carolina Central.
Yeah.
Found a great way to just do my festival and introduce other people to like what HBCUs are, and a lot of them didn't know what it was, but they saw what I was doing there with my alma mater, and like they just started, donating and giving. And like between like 2 years, we were able to donate and raise about $100,000 for
Wow.
NCCU and the music department. Yeah, so we've been able to do a lot of great things this year. We were able to we shifted gears and we were able to buy about 55 instruments for Durham Public Schools and distribute them. Next year, I have a big plan. I can't announce it just yet, but we have an even bigger plan and idea to do something more with my foundation, which is the Marcus Anderson Foundation. And we're going to do something really big. I can't announce it just yet because we haven't
Right.
had the board meeting to be able to do it. But listen, I'm telling you, this is going to change and revolutionize not just the jazz genre and what we're doing, but like the entire music industry. Like it's going to
Fantastic.
change. It's going to support. I'm telling you, when you see it, you'll understand what it is and what we're doing, and you'll see, the pattern kind of take on. I think I'm just going to be the springboard, but everybody else should really jump on this model next year once we start it. So we'll launch that in April. Jazz Appreciation Month. It's going to be amazing. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Everything that I
Yeah.
hear you say, I'm just like, it makes my heart just feel full. I'm so grateful that we have you here in the Carolinas to just not only, just with your talent, but
Mhm.
then your heart and kind of giving
Yeah.
back and just building the community. That's just fantastic. Thank you so much for
You,
that.
you got to
Um,
have give back.
right.
The one thing
Absolutely.
I was telling my agent, Gina McCain. She has an agency, Major Scale Management,
Yeah.
and we've been trying to figure out a way. How do we do a level of give back, but how do we push this genre forward? And when I was on a tour with Dave Koz, we talked a lot about what's next. How do we shift? And I'm like, well, I had a couple of ideas. He said, no, Marcus, I want you to really like think and dig deep. So I sat on it for like 4 weeks. I said, I don't know if you ever seen the movie what's the
Oh,
Ocean's
yeah.
11,
Ocean's 11. Yeah.
Ocean's 12. So the next one, Ocean's 12, there was a guy in the movie. He talked about Danny Ocean was the greatest, theft, heist, or it was the greatest one he ever seen. And the guy was sitting beside him. He was like, "Oh, I don't know how I felt about it." He said, "So I sat on it for about 3 weeks." And then so I sat on it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I thought about what is it? What do we do? Like, how do we push this thing forward? And then like this idea popped in my head that I'll share with you later.
Sure.
But I was talking to Gina, about it, and like this is it. This is how we give back. This is how we push everything forward because we make money. We make great money in what we do as musicians and artists, but it feels very self-serving.
Hmm.
Um, and within that, like I mean, there's only so far you can go with that. And from what I've understood in my faith and being a Christian, that you get more when you give. The
Yes.
purpose of us being here is to give. So I think every musician gets to a point in their career where they have to find that moment, like, all right, it's about philanthropy. Prince was really big on philanthropy. I don't really like talking about it and like telling people what I do, but I understand that's what helps create a high turnover rate when it comes to people giving and supporting what you do and the cause. But like a lot of it, every level of giving doesn't have to be announced. But I do understand, like now I'm in a place in my career where I use my platform to be able to support and push the arts ahead and push music ahead and push the next generation ahead. So that's kind of
Right
the big
on.
thing.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah, would you mind? Let's talk a little bit about you joining the new Power Generation, Prince's band,
hmm
how did that come about, and what was that like? You had mentioned Shelby Johnson, who I've
hmm
had the pleasure of actually just doing a jam session with once, and I'll just never
hmm
forget it. I mean, what
Yeah.
personality! And I'm sure you probably know like Adrian Crutchfield, another saxophonist who played
Yep.
with Prince some, and he's local and
Trouble.
is just really cool. But
Trouble.
yeah,
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 I know about trouble.
trouble, yeah. But tell us your story there, and what was it like your experience?
Man, we all have different stories of how we, got with Prince and how he found us. Mine is very interesting because I feel like I got referred through so many different ways, but I know the initial referral of getting with Prince was with a bass player named Andrew Goucher. So I filled in for one of my mentors, California, Donald Hayes, a sax player. Um, was at the jam session, was, playing, jamming, doing what I do. I had all my stuff set up and I was just doing 100%. I was doing everything. I was doing the four agreements. I was
Right.
showing up, I was doing my best. I wasn't assuming. I was just like, I'm coming here, I'm gonna do amazing. And I just played. I wasn't thinking about anything. I just wanted to play. I was thankful to be playing with Andrew Goucher and to be filling in for
Yeah,
my mentor. And I did such a great job that day that Goucher came to me, and we call him Goucher.
yeah,
And he came and said, "Hey man, what are you doing like right now with your career?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a solo artist. I'm doing all this stuff." And by then, I had a lot of momentum and steam that started picking up,
right.
and I was getting, doing festivals. And he said, "Well, I got an artist I'm working with. Like I think you really should consider this. I can't tell you who he is, but you got some videos." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll send it to you." But in my mind, I'm like, if it ain't Prince or somebody, I'm not gonna do it.
No thanks. Right.
And so this was Sunday. By the Wednesday, I got a call because I was in the movies watching like Lord of the Rings or something like that. And
Wow.
and it was like, "Hey Marcus, this is Andrew Boucher. I sent Prince your videos. He loves what you're doing. He wants to fly you out to Minneapolis. Expect the call." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I thought it was a joke. And I'm like, I said, "Hey, Amy Madeline, I was doing a casino gig. I said, 'Hey, listen to this. Is he saying what I think he's saying?' Like he said Prince." And like she wasn't excited enough for me. And I'm like, "Just said Prince." I'm like, "All right, whatever, Amy." So anyway, I'm calling like people, I just got a call from Prince. You won't believe I got a call to play with tour Prince. So a few months later, we finally get to work together. Got flown out to Minneapolis. Adrian, of course, was a part of it as well. A lot of North Carolina people. Adrian and I helped
That's
orchestrate
what's
putting
something
together
really
half of the horn
surprised me.
section.
It just really surprised me how
Yeah.
many North Carolina folks were involved with Prince's band, and just that
Well,
is so cool, right?
thanks to me and Adrian.
Yeah.
We-
Thank you.
Adrian, we pieced it together.
Yeah.
I kind of fell back into the role of like just kind of being like more the featured sax player guy. I didn't want to really run the section. I didn't want that
Right.
that level of responsibility. I just wanted to show up and just play. I never really, wanted to be that guy to be like in leadership, but like
Like
God
an
always
MD.
keeps nudging me. Yeah, I never wanted to be that. Even as an artist, I never really wanted to be an artist at first. I was a
Right.
part of a band, and then I got pushed into artistry. But Adrian and I helped orchestrate putting together, that half of the horn section. So it was me, Adrian Crutchfield, Joey Rayfield,
Yeah.
Lynn Grissett on trumpet.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was BK Jackson, who lived in Florida, and he played baritone sax. But we all just kind of pieced it together, and then that's what got us to that particular part of the section. Yeah,
It's fantastic. Well, I could only imagine what that energy, evening rehearsal could have felt like, it just
man, insane,
yeah,
insane. Yeah.
that's incredible. But like you said,
Yeah.
working as a solo artist, I mean, you've released well over a dozen albums of your own, correct?
Yeah. 19.
Wow.
I'm dropping the 20th one next month. It's going to be like a surprise, but it's basically a live version of the Vibe, the one that's out now. So it's the Vibe live at May J's. It'll feature Brian Culbertson, like Dave Koz, because they both
Fantastic.
played my festival. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're recording. We Brian and I did a song together called Understanding, and then I was able to record it live with him. Then Dave Koz, I wrote a song called Just Because, and I wanted Dave on it, and he wasn't able to record it before I released the
Oh,
album. So kind of tricked him into coming to the festival, and we played it live, and it's great. So I recorded it, and now I have that history captured.
That's
So I'm excited
fantastic.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with your upcoming performance here in Charlotte at Middle C, October 25th, are you bringing a crew
Uh-huh.
with you?
Yeah, I got my full band. The East Coast Collective is what they're known by
Yeah.
now. Dave kind of named them that from when they got on the cruise. He needed an extra band, and he's like, "Man, are your guys available?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, we could do it. They can come in." And he never really invites artist bands on the cruise, so I was very thankful. I said, "Yeah, all right, guys, don't mess it up." And we had a Zoom, and we got on the cruise, and then when we got there was a name that was stamped with it. It was the East Coast Collective, and I'm like, "But Dave, we're from the Carolinas. Why isn't it the Carolina Collective?" He said, "Shoot." You're right, but it was funny, but ECC, East Coast Collective, has a nice ring to it. I kind of like it.
Absolutely.
It's grown on me. I wanted to highlight the Carolinas, not so much the East Coast. I love the Carolinas, so I'm like the Carolina Collective. I was one like C2, C squared. Come on now, but we stayed with the East Coast Collective. Yeah,
Right. That's fantastic. Do you have any pre-show rituals you like to do? Anything quirky or superstition?
yeah. I don't like people to talk to me before the show a whole lot. It's very frustrating for me, only because I like to get zoned in.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I have friends that try to hype me up before I go on stage. Like, that's fine, but do it 30 minutes before the show. Like, right before I go on. It's not a football game. Like, don't slap me on the back. Don't like shake me like it's not a football game. I'm at a place where like I'm thinking about the entrance of it, and I'm zoned in. I'm zooted like on the show, and
Yeah.
I'm hopped up on coffee, or a shot of tequila, or whatever. But I'm so zoned in. So people don't really know, and I don't want to come across as like standoffish, but I'm very much an introvert.
Right.
So I have to center myself because I'm getting ready to disperse like energy into the crowd and like who I am. So I always like to like just kind of bring everything into focus and
Right.
like tell the band, all right, let's go do a prayer. And then like I'm zoned in. But like right before I go on, I don't want anyone tapping me. I don't like because I'm so zoned in. After the show, perfect, it's fine. But it's very important for me to
Totally.
have that 20 to 30 minutes to myself uninterrupted. And like it's with the
Fantastic.
band, we're in a moment, we're creating this energy that we're getting ready to give to you guys. That's very important. And I feel like I need to give myself that moment so I can give the best part of me to the crowd and people that come to the show. Yeah.
Right. So, do you even like meditate? Will you take a moment just
hmm
and try to center
That's a,
that way?
that's all a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I stretch and meditate. I put on my earbuds a lot of times, and I have white noise. My
Mhm.
white noise, believe it or not, is either a vacuum cleaner or a lawnmower. And it's just like the
Wow.
droning noise of it is so relaxing to me. I know it's crazy, and I stretch, and I do like all kind of things. I do a breathing. This lady one time I was stretching. I didn't really have a green room, so I was kind of exposed in like an area, and she thought it was like hilarious. She started like messing with me in that moment, and I just kind of shot her this look. And people don't really know like how important that is. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of looked at her and ignored her. But she was like, "Yeah." I was doing my little frog. I have my little froggy stance where I stretch, like my thighs, my groin, and all that. And
Yeah.
she started doing it kind of like poking fun, but it's like it wasn't funny. But I just let her have it.
Let her
Because in
look.
that moment, like, yeah, because I'm very active on stage. I move a lot. I'm very I dance, so I'm a dancer. So it's very important for me to stretch because I'm not stretched. And I remember one time I didn't stretch, and I jumped off stage and I landed, and like I still feel that today.
Oh, yeah.
That injury. Um, so I have to stretch. I have to do all of that. I got to go through the whole ritual. I got to meditate. I got to do all that stuff that happens. Yeah.
Right on. That is fantastic. Uh, but what's something maybe people would be shocked to learn about you off stage?
I don't know. Probably that I'm not as outgoing as what it may appear.
Right.
I like being home, like with familiarity. Like I like being home, doing the same thing, eating the same food every day. I have a very strict routine when I wake up in the morning. I drink coffee. First when I wake up, say, God, thank you for being able to like breathe and have another
Yes.
day. And
Yes.
give thanks first thing when my feet touch the ground. The
Mm.
fact I can do that is very important. Most people, not most people, there's some people in the world that can't. So that's very important. Drink my coffee, eat a couple pieces of bacon, in the morning, drink a lot of water, take my vitamins, watch a little bit of Scandal, and then that's early. I wake up about 7:30 every day. I do like all of that in routine, my
Yeah.
ritual. And yeah, and that's pretty much it, but I don't really do a whole lot outside of like that. I'm very routine. I hang out with my friends. We have a cigar hang. It's very laid back, very chill. I don't really do a whole lot. Like I really keep it very simple. I don't
Right.
like big cities. I love small towns. I love, being outside. I love being able to drive to the grocery store up the street. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm just small town guy. Get home, hop in the car and just driving and like here I am, outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm enjoying myself in this little small town that I can walk up to this little dive bar, have a taco or hot dog and
Yeah.
enjoy this moment with my friends. And like and we do that. That's it. I have a very, very simple life. And
Very
when
chill.
I'm with my daughters, we enjoy each other's time and company. We do very simple, chill things. We do family vacation stuff too, but essentially like our life is just very, very bland.
No, I love that. I'm totally relating on everything that you're mentioning. So that is really
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, that might be a shock to someone who, this guy played with Prince. He rocks out on stage. He's up there dancing. But no, when he's off stage, he is
hmm
chill. I
No,
love it.
yeah. Just I went on a date one time and this girl, she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? What's up?" She's like, "You just seem kind of dry." And I'm like, "Well, I'm like, I said, I'm not, the guy on stage, that's a part of me, but like, this is kind of who I am. I'm kind of chill, laid back, and, like, but I have basic, regular conversations. I'm the oldest 40-year-old you'll know. Like, I was raised around musicians that were 10, 15 years older than me, or
Mm-hmm.
20 years older than me, too. When I was
Mm-hmm.
13, 14, 15, a lot of people that was around, these jokers, were 30, 35, 40 plus years old. So, like, that was who I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I was exposed to and it didn't change. So I think all of that just kind of jumped on me. I've always had an old soul.
Yeah.
Whenever like I've went out on dates or whatever, it was always with older women. Like they were always
Nice.
much older than me.
Wow.
So like my
I'm
whole
feeling
mindset
this.
is just always it's
I'm
always it's
feeling this.
always older. So when
Yeah.
I say I'm the oldest 40-year-old, like that's who I am, man.
Yeah. I dig it. Marcus, we're going to take a short break, but hey, this is
hmm
just a thrilling conversation. Just so excited to have you on. So give us about 3 minutes. We're going to take a short break, hear from a sponsor,
Okay.
and come back with you.
Okay.
So this is Dr. Marcus Anderson on Local Music Somewhere, rbeats.com with Greasy Keys. We'll be right back.
Happy Hollows Eve, all you are Beats bangers. It is me, Delta Sigma. Part of the DJ World Beats experience, coming to you on location. From the No-Tell Motel Masquerade and Halloween Party, tossing the candy back and forth with our favorite host, Annalise Pearl, along with house jam band Greasy Keys. Check it out as we slay the sleeper hits on location in the rbeats.com Monster Mansion. You are in for a real tasty treat on the October Trending Show, brought to you by rbeats.com and DJ World Beats right here on the rbeats radio media and streaming network. Take it away, Annalise.
Welcome back to another spooky segment of What's Trending Now on RB's radio, media, and streaming network. Take it away, Greasy. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And now let's get started on our upcoming local, national, and international concerts. Starting off with Marcus Anderson, a Grammy-nominated jazz fusion saxophonist who will be performing at Middle Sea Jazz Club on Saturday, October 25th. Doors open at 5:15 p.m. You can get your tickets at middleseajazz.com. Greasy,
Yo!
who's a Grammy-nominated artist who you'd love to meet one day.
My dream has always been to meet the Queen Bee herself, Beyonce.
Oh, we love Queen Bee in this household.
That's right. Thank you, Annalise. You must check out Middle Sea Jazz Club with John Splithoff for the Far From Here tour.
Taking place on Wednesday, October 29th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m.
Greasy, have you been to Middle Sea Jazz before?
Been there several times. It's going to be a great night, so make sure to get your tickets for that show.
We love the energy. Charlotte's annual Confluence Carolinas is hosting a kickoff party at Amos South End on Wednesday, October 8th, featuring performances from Joe May and Time Sawyer. Doors open at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at confluencecarolinas.com. Greasy,
Yo!
where's the place in South End that people need to check out?
Next time you're in South End, check out Monday Night Brewing. They have cold beer and live music. It's a great place.
Music to my ears. This is Annalise Pearl and Greasy Keys bring you all the new details and the latest trending watercolor conversations. Stay on top of the RBeats app and rbeats.com, always bringing you the best of the best independent, national, and international music artists. Constant influences are on the RBeats app. You all know the drill. Now let's get started with this week's DJ World Beats top trending songs. Spinning now on 25.8, 366 or global pop stream. DJ World Beats brings you Afterbody by Jay Stevens.
Bruises brings you their new track, Corrida Amolia. And secondly, from Bruises, we have F My Ex.
Trending now on RBeats Radio, our house and EDM stream, we have Loneliness by Tom Kraft.
Yes, Annalise. Rolling right along on our Beats Radio is Rave Till My Grave by Hardwell and Maddox featuring Villain. Now we have Ellen Allien, Under the Ocean. Slaying their new sleeper hit, we have Masuma and Dosamus with Contesto on our Beats Radio. Now let's take a journey together on the R-Beats Backflip Lounge with Italian artist ATLXS bringing you the hit Passo Bem Salto, along with Azimos hit Let Her Go. Hip hop is our heart on We Global Radio, starting with Baby Sham, Stephen Marley, Damian Jr. Gong Marley, blowing it up with Hustling in My Blood. Next we have Masika with their hit Old Topic, Ayola bringing you Homie, Luis Enriquez, Net and Vega, Fuerza Regida with Chula Vent, Frisco, Omi 1, featuring JME, Flodan and Jaya Had a Dream. And lastly, Bugsy Malone with Let's Go Back featuring Kelly.
And we have closing out on USA Heroes, our classic rock and country station, we have Moneybag Yo by Whiskey Whiskey featuring Morgan Wallen. And that concludes this week's countdown. Be sure to check out our social media sensation show, What's Trending Now, and be sure to check out RBTZ TV on YouTube and the watch list with Greasy Keys. That's all for now. Take it away, Greasy. Thank y'all for watching.
Thanks so much, Annalise. That's an incredible trending episode there. And make sure to check out all those incredible acts. And check them out on rbeats.com. Make sure to stream all those wonderful songs. This is Greasy Keys in the RB studio. I got Dr. Marcus Anderson on the line here talking about his incredible career in music and as an entrepreneur and just giving back to his community here in the Carolinas. But again, we just want to help promote your show coming up at Middle Sea Jazz. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, we got the show October 25th, Middle Sea Jazz. Two shows, 6:15, I think 8:45 are the times. But man, excited about it. I love coming to Charlotte. Love Middle Sea. It's just a thing, man. To be able to go and play music for people and like to give parts of yourself and show people what you've learned through the years. I've studied some of the greats and got to work with them, from Prince, and even sharing the stage with Stevie Wonder, did a
Yeah.
few shows together
Yes.
and the stuff at NCCU, and then learning from Brian and Dave and like seeing everybody and Anthony and Sheila and like seeing all these people. Like now I get to give versions of that the way that I see it, on
Yeah.
stage. And yeah, even like my background in dance, putting that into it as well too. So
Yeah.
like I'm excited about it. I love coming to Middle Sea because I try to bring a different show, try to give them a lot of energy. Gotta
Yeah.
give them something different every time. Every time, have
Absolutely.
to.
Keep it fresh.
Yeah, yeah,
So, do you
have to.
in your show? Will you bring in? Do you do some versions of some Prince songs or some
Oh yeah,
Sheila Green and Stevie Wonder? You kind of do your own spin on
abs-
those things.
yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Let me ask you this: if you go back and give your teenage self one piece of music advice, what would it be?
Oh man, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
I, I just keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't really have any regrets with a lot of stuff because it would have changed the trajectory where I am now. I mean, I the only thing like back then, I just wish maybe I'd went harder at what I'm,
Harder.
doing.
Right.
But I mean, it's hard to say, what I would tell the younger version of myself. Is more so now I look forward to the older version of me, like what would the future Marcus do? Like where would he be or want to
Right.
be in this place? So I kind of more so look forward than backwards, if that
Of
makes
course.
sense.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, yeah, like I feel like that's a little bit more progressive. I remember things from what happened in the past, which teaches me a lot, but forward thinking kind of keeps me, moving in that direction and getting ideas and uh getting success in like what I'm trying to do. Going
Yes.
like think looking back is good to reflect, but I don't really think about the past too much when it comes to that. I remember things and I use it as a learning lesson and learning tool, but I'm so forward thinking, maybe to a fault, you know.
Right.
But
Well, I feel you
yeah,
there on that. And that's just
yeah.
very wise words. And I'm just grateful to have this conversation. If nothing else, just to kind of hear your take on that
Hmm.
and to take some of that knowledge, man. That is really, really good stuff.
No,
Um,
thank you.
do you ever so what's the best way? How do you balance being a musician, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist? Like, what's I guess musician first, or have you ever thought about it that way?
Yeah. That's the struggle right now
Yeah.
because I love playing music and I don't even I don't even like think about it as a thing of like being a musician anymore. I think of it
Right.
as like being a creative.
Mm-hmm.
Um like music is kind of one part of what I do,
Right.
but I've been dabbling in so many other different things and I know this saying like, you know, what is it? A man of many talents is a master of none, something
Right.
like that. And I have so many, and I'm trying to really like focus on like one thing that I do very well. I know saxophoning and dancing and playing, performing and entertaining. That is what I do extremely well. But then there are other things that pull and tug at me, like animation and film. And I did my comic book, the creatives, which is based on musician superheroes, and like taking that and going further with it. So I've been dabbling in writing a whole lot since 2020. I had lost a desire to even do music back then, and
Wow.
something got unlocked. I don't know if it was from the COVID shot
I
or
was gonna say it was from
catching
COVID.
COVID, but
Wow.
there was a side of me that got unlocked in 2020, and I've been writing so much. There's so many stories and there's so many things that's happening that I'm writing so much. So the creatives, the comic book was one. I did a children's book that I released this year. And there's another like part of me like I'm writing a like a suspense thriller, similar to like maybe like a M. Night Shyamalan
Right.
or not so dark like Stephen King, but it's
Right.
like some definitely Stranger Things like vibe. So there's a lot of writing that I do on the side with the writing, but I don't really think about the musicianship side of it. I think more of the creative side. But how I
Right.
balance and juggle the entrepreneurship, I don't know. Everybody that I've been around and been exposed to, from Prince to Brian Culbertson to Dave
Yes.
Koz, to Marcus Johnson, they've always done like two. They've done music and business. It's like you can't separate the two. You have to understand and know the business, but then the more you understand the business, the more it creates more ideas and say, "Oh, I can do this. I can make money from that." Because we make good money as musicians, but I want to be able to make money in other ways too, which is why I
Right.
started the coffee business, which is why I have the
Yeah.
festival, and which is why I have, a couple other different streams of income. It's like I don't want to just be putting all my eggs into one basket. So balancing
Absolutely.
all of those, you got to just focus on what is most important to you, like, and
Mm.
prioritize it throughout the month. Not so much the week, but it's like throughout the month. This week I'm gonna work on this, next week I'm gonna work on that, and then you just kind of nudge a few things ahead, and some have to take the back burner for a season, and then you go back and revisit it and pick it up. So just you deal with it in waves,
Right.
and just got to make sure you're checking it off. you don't want to spend years working on one idea in a project. At that point, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. So like I try
Mm,
to make sure I get to that checkpoint. Even if it's 80% done, 80% to the world is better than 100% in your head is
yes.
always my motto. So I try to take that approach, and I don't really focus on perfection. I just focus on like success and achieving goals.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I believe in staying diversified, like I said, in different genres and styles of music and or even businesses, but you just have it like it's a whole other level. That's so inspiring. Not only
Yeah, thank you.
music
Yeah.
and coffee and just your business, but then comic books and writing. Wow, that is
And
just
golf. Don't forget about
and
golf.
golf. Yeah, yeah. Man, that is
Yeah.
all just fantastic stuff, Marcus. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Man, that is just inspiring. I love that. Well, you got your show coming up on the 25th. Is this a part of a tour
Yeah.
that you're doing, or is this like a one-off kind of bit?
It's a one-off, it's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
tail end of the year before we go
Yeah,
into the Christmas season. I have a
yeah,
Christmas tour, getting ready to do, and it's called a Christmas Romance Tour. My last Christmas album was called a Christmas Romance, and
yeah.
basically they're Christmas songs in a style and emotion and feel of love songs. I have a few shows I'm doing with Rebecca Jade, a couple of
Fantastic.
shows I'm doing with my brother Marcel, my twin brother Marcel, who sings on a lot of my stuff. And
Yeah.
we're just gonna go. We have about 9 shows in December, 8 to 9 shows. We're gonna hit them West Coast. We're gonna go to Atlanta. We're gonna go to Florida.
Wow.
We have one, I think, in Northern Cali. But yeah, just a handful of shows. I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna quit it. I'm gonna go and enjoy my vacation with my family and my daughters, and that's how I'll end the year. Well, actually, how I'll really end the year will be at Mini Abear's Christmas. I'm sorry, Mini Abear's Wine and Jazz New
Yeah.
Year's Eve celebration. So yeah,
Fantastic. Wow. Man, all on the grind. I love it, and I love to hear it. Just spreading the music and doing your thing. Oh, wow. Well, where can folks kind of follow you and find you online and find your music and all the other things you've got going on?
yeah, they can just go to my website, marcusanderson.net. They can find any information on there about me, my bio, my music. It points you in every direction, especially to my coffee, my brand,
Yeah,
coffee brand and coffee. My festival, Majace or Majace, Marcus Anderson Jazz and Coffee Escape is in Asheville next year. We're 60% sold, and I haven't even really announced the lineup yet, but I'll tell people about it when we go to Middle C and let them know, hey, I got Richard Elliott coming next year, Mindy Abear, Nicholas Cole, BK Jackson, Darnell Showcase Taylor. We have my brother, of course, he'll be back, and D. Lucas, and we have Althea Renee coming back, and Rebecca Jade and Ellis Hamilton. So yeah, full lineup.
fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. Hey, Marcus, thank you again for taking time to be on R Beats with us. Just wish you all the best. I'm definitely going
Mhm.
on your website and ordering some coffee today because I can't
Yes,
wait
sir.
to taste some and coffee because I'm a
That's
coffee
right.
lover, and any kind of new coffee brand I could find, I'm all about supporting. And again, just all your
Mhm.
incredible accolades and all that you got going on. I just wish you all the best and continue
Thank you
success in
so
that.
much.
And look forward to following you more. I'm so glad we were able to connect, and just wishing you all the best.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, this has been Greasy Keys in the RB studio with my guest, Dr. Marcus Anson. He's playing at the Middle Sea Jazz Room on October 25th. Peace out.